Be quiet when the adults are talking. My own son said that to me, right in the middle of a conversation about selling my house. I didn't yell. I didn't even blink. I just walked out to the backyard, pulled out my phone, and called a number I'd been saving for months. 5 minutes later, his phone rang, and my daughter-in-law's panicked voice carried through the open window. Mom, please. We're family. You can't do this to us. But I could. And I did. That scene didn't start today. It began long before, when I was still just Margaret, the mother who gave everything and asked for nothing. Until the day my own children treated me like a problem to solve. The night before, my younger son Ryan had called. Mom, we need to talk tomorrow at 10. Everyone will be there. His tone was distant, almost rehearsed. Everyone. That word kept me awake. At exactly 10, the doorbell rang. Ryan stood with his wife Vanessa. Perfect hair, perfect smile, a scent strong enough to fill the hallway. 5 minutes later, my older son Mark arrived, eyes lowered, voice small. I made coffee nobody touched. They sat like a board of directors. Ryan and Vanessa on the couch, Mark in the corner chair. I stayed standing. My gut told me not to sit, not to make myself smaller. Vanessa began softly. Mom, you're not getting any younger. This place is too big. Maybe it's time to downsize. Ryan jumped in. With the money, we could make a family investment, something that benefits everyone. Family investment. What a polite way to say we want your money. When I tried to speak, Ryan lifted his hand. Mom, please. Be quiet when the adults are talking. The words hit harder than any slap. In that instant, something inside me hardened into steel. They thought they were taking control of my life. They had no idea I'd already made a call months ago that would change everything. And in 5 minutes, that call was about to answer. I sat on the old iron bench in the backyard, the one my late husband had painted white years ago. My hands were trembling, but not from fear, from rage and clarity. I had raised 2 sons, taught them right from wrong, given them everything I had. And now they sat inside my home, plotting to take it from me. I pulled out my phone and scrolled to the contact I'd saved 4 months earlier. The name glowed on the screen. Linda Parker, attorney. My friend Carol had given me her number with one warning. Use it only when you're sure, Margaret. I was sure. I hit call. Linda Parker, she answered, calm and steady. It's happened, I said. There was a brief pause. You're ready then? Yes. Do it. 5 minutes, she replied before hanging up. The wind shifted. Inside the house, I heard muted voices. Vanessa's confident tone, Ryan's steady hum of authority, and Mark's silence as always. I stared at the hydrangeas Arthur and I had planted decades ago. He'd loved this backyard. He would have been furious to see his sons treating me like a burden. Exactly 5 minutes later, Vanessa's phone started ringing inside. Once, twice, 3 times. She ignored it at first, still enjoying the glow of her victory. Then it rang again, harder, louder. Finally, I heard her voice. Hello. A pause. What do you mean it can't be done? She snapped. Her tone cracked like glass. That's impossible. I could almost picture her face twisting from smug to terrified. Ryan's voice came next, anxious. What's going on? It's your mom's lawyer, Vanessa said, shaking. She says the house can't be sold. Silence. The screen door flew open. Vanessa stumbled out, phone in hand, her perfect mask on. Mom, you can't do this to us, she screamed. We're family. I met her glare with calm. I already did. Ryan stepped forward. his confidence melting into confusion. "Mom, what did you do?" I stood up slowly, brushing the dust from my skirt. What I should have done months ago. Their faces turned pale. And right then I realized they hadn't just underestimated me. They had no idea what I was truly capable of. But they were about to find out. Ryan's voice cracked. "Mom, what did you tell her? What did you do?" I looked at him. The same boy who once held my hand crossing the street, now glaring at me like I was an obstacle. "I protected what's mine," I said, calm as ever. Vanessa's grip on her phone tightened, her knuckles white. "You said this house was for the family. You promised it would be ours one day." "I never promised that," I replied. "You just assumed." Her jaw dropped. Ryan looked between us, pale and shaken. Inside, Mark stood frozen near the door, guilt written all over his face. He hadn't said a word during any of it. Typical Mark. Quiet when it mattered most. Vanessa's phone rang again. She hesitated before answering, her voice trembling. "Yes. No, we didn't know. For months. That can't be right." Her face drained of color. You put the house in a trust?" I nodded. "For months ago. It can't be sold, transferred, or touched without my approval. And if I pass away, it goes directly to a senior protection foundation." Ryan stared at me like he didn't recognize his own mother. "You cut us out completely?" "No, Ryan. You cut me out when you planned this meeting without me." Vanessa's tone turned venomous. "You'll regret this, Margaret. You're choosing money over your own children." I laughed. A sharp, bitter sound. "No, Vanessa. I'm choosing dignity over greed." Ryan tried to step closer. "Mom, let's just talk about this. We can fix it." "You already did the talking," I interrupted. "You and your wife planned, decided, and executed without me. I just finished what you started." Vanessa glared. "You think you're so smart, but we'll contest this. We'll find a way to undo it." "Try it," I said softly. "Linda made sure it's airtight. You'd be wasting your money. Assuming you still have any." Her mouth opened, but no words came out. I walked past them through the doorway, leaving them standing in the yard. For the first time in years I felt free, angry, hurt, but free. Inside, the house was quiet again. Mine. Entirely mine. But I knew this wasn't the end. This was just the beginning of the war they had started. Vanessa's heels clicked furiously across the deck as she stormed back inside, muttering curses under her breath. Ryan followed, his face pale and drawn. Mark lingered by the door, torn between loyalty and shame. I stood in the kitchen, pouring myself coffee from the pot no one had touched earlier. My hands were steady now. "You plan to sell my home," I said, not looking at them. "You plotted behind my back for months. And you thought I wouldn't notice." Ryan's voice trembled. "We were trying to help you, Mom. You're alone here. You need support." "Support?" I cut in. "You mean control. You didn't want to help me. You wanted what was mine." Vanessa's composure snapped. "You're unbelievable. We've done everything for you. The least you could do is think of your family." I turned, meeting her glare. "Vanessa, family doesn't trick you. Family doesn't plan your downfall over dinner." Ryan slammed his hand on the table. "Stop it. You're twisting everything." "No, Ryan," I said softly. "I'm seeing clearly for the first time." Mark finally spoke up, his voice small. "I didn't know they were going to say that, Mom. I swear." I looked at him, tired. "But you still sat there, didn't you? You watched them humiliate me and said nothing." Silence can be betrayal too. He dropped his head, guilt heavy on his shoulders. Vanessa grabbed her purse. Fine. Keep your stupid house. But don't expect us to come running when you're sick and alone. Her words should have hurt. Instead, they felt like release. I'd rather be alone, I said, than live surrounded by vultures. Ryan pointed at me, his voice shaking with anger. We'll contest that trust. You'll see. We'll prove you weren't in your right mind. I smiled faintly. Go ahead. 3 witnesses, 2 doctors, full evaluations. You'll lose before you start. He didn't respond. They turned and left, slamming the door behind them. The silence that followed was pure, peaceful, almost holy. I sat down on the bench again, listening to the wind rustle the hydrangeas. For the first time in months, I breathed deeply. But as calm as I felt, I knew this wasn't over. Because people who are desperate never give up quietly. The next morning, my phone started ringing before sunrise. First Ryan, then Vanessa. I didn't answer either. Their calls came in waves, pleading at first, then angry, then cold. By noon, I stopped counting after 30 missed calls. When I finally checked my voicemail, I heard Ryan's voice, shaky but still trying to sound in control. Mom, this got out of hand. We can fix it. Just call me back. The next message came hours later, his tone sharper. You're making a mistake, Mom. You'll regret this. You can't just cut us off like that. By evening, Vanessa's voice filled the inbox, syrupy sweet, fake as ever. Margaret, think about the kids. They miss you. It's cruel to shut everyone out over a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. That's what they were calling it now. I deleted every message without finishing them. The house was quiet except for the ticking clock and the soft hum of the refrigerator. Peaceful, almost eerily so. 3 days passed. Then Linda stopped by with a file tucked under her arm. They tried to contest it, she said, sitting at my kitchen table. Filed a motion claiming you were coerced. I arched a brow. Let me guess, Ryan's idea? Most likely. The judge dismissed it within 48 hours. Linda smiled, satisfied. We had the doctor's notes, the witness signatures, even video proof of the signing. It's over for now. I exhaled. Relief and sadness mixed in my chest. For now, I repeated. Linda closed her folder. They won't stop easily. People like that, they feel entitled. But you did the right thing. You took your power back. After she left, I stood by the kitchen window, watching the golden light fade over the backyard Arthur once cared for. It hit me then how much had changed. My sons used to play here. Their laughter once filled this space. Now all that remained was quiet and memory. Still, under that silence was something new, strength. I wasn't the same woman who let her children make her small. That woman was gone. But deep down I could feel it. Ryan wasn't done. And the next time he came for me, he'd learned that I wasn't afraid of him anymore. It was a Thursday morning when Linda called again. I was halfway through my first cup of coffee when her tone told me everything. They've filed another one, she said. Another what? I asked. A lawsuit. Ryan and Vanessa are demanding repayment for every dollar they've ever given you. Or claim to have given you. $35,000 total. I laughed, a dry, disbelieving sound. They're suing me for the gifts I gave them? Technically, Linda explained. They're calling them investments. They're arguing you defrauded them by changing your will. Investments, I repeated. That's rich. She smiled faintly. Don't worry. You're protected. I've got every transfer labeled and documented, gifts, not loans. They don't have a case. But it'll be noisy and public. Let it be, I said, staring out at the backyard. I'm done hiding. That night I couldn't sleep. I walked through the quiet house barefoot, touching the framed photos along the hallway. Ryan in his graduation gown. Mark holding his newborn son. Me and Arthur on our wedding day. Somewhere between pride and heartbreak, I realized how far we'd fallen as a family. They'd gone from asking for help to demanding ownership, from needing me to resenting me. The next day, I met Linda downtown to sign another set of papers. She slid one document toward me. You could countersue for harassment if this continues, she said. I looked at her, half smiling. Let's see how far they're willing to go. Back home, I poured myself a glass of wine and watched the evening settle in. The air was still, heavy with that pre-storm quiet that always comes before something breaks. I knew Ryan. He wasn't the type to admit defeat. Not yet. But storms have a way of clearing what doesn't belong. And this time I was ready to let the wind take whatever it wanted. Because sometimes, peace only comes after you've burned everything that tried to destroy you. For days after the lawsuit, the doorbell rang. I almost didn't answer. Part of me hoped it was no one, another part feared it was Ryan. But when I opened the door, it wasn't him. It was Mark. He looked tired, older somehow, his shoulders slumped and eyes red. Hey, Mom, he said quietly. Can I come in? I hesitated, then stepped aside. Coffee? He nodded. We sat at the kitchen table in silence for a long minute. He stared at his cup but didn't drink. Finally he spoke. I'm a coward. I know, I said softly. He gave a bitter laugh. Yeah, I deserved that. I should have stopped Ryan that day. I should have told Vanessa to shut her mouth. But I didn't. I just froze. I didn't respond. He rubbed his face with both hands. I was scared, Mom. I've always been scared of Ryan. He's louder, stronger, always convinced he's right. I let him take over everything, even my voice. That's not an excuse, I said. I know. That's why I'm here, to tell you I'm sorry. For staying quiet. For taking advantage of you. For letting him humiliate you. He reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. This is the $15,000 you lent me years ago. It's yours. I pushed it back toward him. Keep it. No, he said, shaking his head. You were right, Mom. We all treated your generosity like it was a bottomless well. This isn't about money. It's about respect. He swallowed hard. Paige, my wife, made me come. She said if I didn't fix things with you, I'd end up just like Ryan. Angry. Broke. Alone. I looked at him for a long moment, seeing not a grown man, but the scared boy who used to hide behind me. You're trying, I said. That's more than Ryan's done. He nodded. He's in deep, Mom. Debt, fights with Vanessa. She's making him desperate. Be careful. As he left, he paused at the door. I hope one day you'll forgive me. I watched him walk down the path, shoulders heavy with regret. He didn't know it yet, but forgiveness wasn't something I'd hand out easily anymore. Because the next knock on that door wouldn't be an apology, it would be a reckoning. After Mark left, the house felt strangely still again. But this time it wasn't the silence of loneliness. It was the kind that follows truth finally spoken. I stood at the window watching him drive away, clutching the envelope he'd left behind. I didn't need his money, but the gesture meant everything. Later that evening I found another envelope on my doorstep. No return address. Just my name written in Ryan's sharp handwriting. For a moment I thought about throwing it away, but curiosity won. I opened it carefully, the paper trembling in my hands. "Mom," it began, "I don't even know if you'll read this. You have every reason not to. Vanessa left me. She took the kids and half my things. I lost my job last week. The apartment's gone next month. Everything's falling apart. And it's all my fault." His words blurred as I read. He admitted everything. How Vanessa had pushed him, how he'd believed her lies, how he'd let greed poison him. "I tried to take what was never mine," he wrote. "You were right. You've always been right." He didn't ask for money. He didn't even ask for forgiveness. Just understanding. If there's anything left of the mother who used to hug me when I fell off my bike, I hope she knows I'm sorry. I sat there for a long time, the letter heavy in my lap. I wanted to believe him, but a voice in my head whispered caution. Ryan had learned from the best. Vanessa knew how to twist guilt into leverage. Maybe now he was doing the same. Still, another part of me, the mother who had once rocked him to sleep, ached to help. But I'd spent too many years confusing love with surrender. That night, I placed Ryan's letter beside Mark's on my desk. 2 sons, 2 choices. One seeking redemption, the other still lost in the ruins of his own making. I didn't know if Ryan's pain was real, but something told me I'd find out soon enough. Because when a person hits rock bottom, they either rise or drag someone else down with them. A week passed after Ryan's letter. No calls, no texts, just quiet. I almost convinced myself he'd moved on, until one humid afternoon I saw him. He was standing on the corner near my building in a faded food delivery uniform, helmet dangling from his arm. He looked thinner, older. His eyes met mine for only a second before he looked away. I could have walked past him, pretended not to see. But that's not who I am. I crossed the street slowly. "Ryan," I said. He froze, then turned toward me. "Mom." His voice cracked on the word. For a moment, neither of us spoke. We just stood there, surrounded by the city noise. He looked like a ghost of the man he'd been, tired, broken, stripped of pride. "I didn't expect to see you," I said. "I wasn't going to come up," he replied. "I just wanted to see the house. I mean your place. To make sure you were okay." I crossed my arms. "You sure that's why you're here?" He sighed. "I deserved that. But I swear, I'm not here for money. I wanted to say I'm sorry. In person." His eyes glistened. "You warned me about Vanessa. I didn't listen. She left when the money ran out. Took the kids, the car, everything. I've got nothing, Mom. Nothing except regret." Something inside me twisted. I wanted to hug him, but the scars were still too fresh. "Regret's a start," I said quietly. "But it doesn't erase what you did." "I know. And I'll live with that every day." He looked at the ground, shame all over him. "Can I come up? Just for a few minutes." I hesitated, then nodded. 5 minutes. Upstairs, he drank 2 glasses of water like a man who hadn't had a decent meal in days. When I offered soup, his eyes watered. "You don't have to." "I know," I said. "But I will." He ate silently. When he finished, he whispered, "Thank you for not slamming the door in my face." I studied him closely. He was still my son, just a damaged version of the boy I once knew. And maybe, just maybe, this was his rock bottom. But the real question was, did he plan to climb out or dig deeper? 2 weeks later, my phone buzzed with a message I didn't expect. "Ryan, can I come by on Saturday?" Just to talk. His tone felt different. No guilt trips, no desperation. Just quiet sincerity. Against my better judgment, I said yes. He arrived right on time, holding a small paper bag. Brought pastries, he said with a half smile. Didn't want to come empty-handed. I nodded. That's thoughtful. We sat in the living room, sunlight spilling through the curtains. For once, the air between us wasn't heavy. He told me about his new job at a warehouse. Steady hours, small paycheck, but honest work. It's not glamorous, he said, but it's something I earned myself. I could hear the pride buried under his humility. That's more than you realize, Ryan, I told him. He nodded slowly. My therapist says the first step to changing your life is showing up. I've been going to counseling for 3 weeks now. They're helping me untangle a lot. That surprised me. Therapy. He laughed softly. Yeah, the old me would have called it nonsense. But now, I think it's the first time I'm facing myself. He told me about the sessions, how the therapist made him write lists of things he was grateful for, even when he felt worthless. I wrote one about you, he admitted, pulling out a notebook. His handwriting was neater now, deliberate. I'm grateful for my mom, he read, voice trembling. For every meal, every late-night talk, every time she stayed when I didn't deserve it. I didn't say a word. My throat was too tight. He wiped his eyes and looked up. I don't expect forgiveness. I just want to be someone you can be proud of again. I reached across the table and placed my hand over his. You're getting there, son. He smiled, and for a moment I saw the boy he used to be, the one who believed the world was still kind. But I also knew life wasn't done testing him yet. Because rebuilding is harder than breaking, and Ryan's fight had only just begun. Weeks passed, and Ryan kept showing up every Saturday at 4. Always on time, always respectful. He never asked for money, never hinted at needing help. He just talked about his job, therapy, and how he was learning to face the mess he'd made. One afternoon, he came in holding a small bunch of daisies. For the kitchen, he said. You used to keep flowers there. I smiled. Your father planted those in the garden every spring. I remember, he said softly. He'd wake us up early to help, and I'd always complain. I wish I could go back and thank him now. We sat by the window, sunlight flickering across the table. He pulled out that same notebook again. My therapist says gratitude rewires the brain. Makes you focus on what's left, not what's lost. He flipped to a page and cleared his throat. I'm grateful for my mistakes. They hurt, but they woke me up. I'm grateful for Mom, for standing her ground, even when it broke her heart. Because she taught me that love without boundaries isn't love. It's surrender. I had to turn away so he wouldn't see the tears. For the first time, I realized he wasn't just saying sorry anymore. He was changing. When he left, I walked him to the door. I'm proud of you, Ryan, I said quietly. Not for being perfect, but for trying. He smiled, eyes glistening. That means more than you know. That night, I sat alone with a cup of tea, looking around the house. The pain was still there, yes, but it no longer defined me. This home had survived everything. Betrayal, greed, grief. And so had I. But as peaceful as things had become, I knew peace never lasts forever. Because whenever life gives you calm, it's usually just catching its breath before the next storm. Christmas came that year with soft snow and a strange, gentle warmth. Mark invited me to dinner, just him, his wife Paige, the kids, and to my surprise, Ryan. When Ryan walked in holding a homemade pie, I saw something I hadn't seen in years, light in his eyes. The kids ran to him shouting, "Uncle Ryan!" And he laughed, a sound that once felt impossible to hear again. Dinner was simple but full of life. We shared stories, memories, even jokes about the old days. Ryan didn't dominate the room like before. He listened, really listened. When Mark raised his glass for a toast, he said, "To family, not the one we used to be, but the one we're becoming." After dinner, while everyone moved to the living room, Ryan pulled me aside. "I have news," he said, voice steady. "The judge approved visitation with my kids, 2 Saturdays a month. Supervised for now. But it's something." I smiled, tears stinging my eyes. "That's wonderful, Ryan." He nodded. "And I got promoted. Warehouse supervisor. It's not fancy, but it's mine. I'm earning my way back, one step at a time." I hugged him then, a real hug, no anger, no regret, just love and understanding. "Your father would be proud of you," I whispered. He smiled against my shoulder. "You think so?" "I know so," I said. Later that night, back in my quiet house, I curled up in my favorite chair. The same one Arthur gave me on our 20th anniversary. Outside, snowflakes drifted under the streetlights, soft and glowing. I thought about everything that had happened, the betrayal, the fights, the tears, and finally the healing. I'd lost a lot, yes. But I'd gained something far greater: peace, respect, and a new beginning built on my own terms. Ryan was finding his way back. Mark had learned to stand tall. And I, after all this time, had learned that love doesn't mean surrender. It means strength. It means boundaries. It means choosing yourself without apology. I looked out the window one last time, smiling as the snow fell quietly over the garden. Because sometimes losing everything isn't the end. It's how you finally start living again.